The entire NFL is talking about it. One of the most shocking moments of Week 1. Under the bright lights, with the world watching, Eagles star Jalen Carter walked straight up to Dak Prescott and spit on his chest. Yes, you heard that right. A move so reckless, so immature, that it nearly cost Philadelphia the game, and now, the fallout is massive. Sunday night was supposed to be about football. It was supposed to be about Eagles-Cowboys, one of the greatest rivalries in the game. But instead, the headlines belonged to Jalen Carter, and not for the right reasons. In a moment of pure frustration, Carter spit directly on Dak Prescott. Not only is that inexcusable on any football field, it's a slap in the face to his teammates, his coaches, and the fans who put their trust in him. Imagine being in that locker room, grinding all offseason, and watching one of your stars nearly throw it all away because of a lack of control. That's not just a mistake. That's selfish. And make no mistake, when something like this happens in Week 1 on national TV, with millions of fans watching, it explodes. This isn't some forgotten penalty in the second quarter. This is Dak Prescott, the Cowboys, the Eagles, and one of the biggest rivalries in all of sports. The NFL wants this matchup to be a showcase. Instead, Carter's actions have become the story everyone is talking about. This is why it's so damaging. The NFL has spent years working to build its image, pushing sportsmanship, marketing the league worldwide, growing franchise values to insane levels. Teams like the Cowboys are valued at nearly $12 billion. Owners like Jeffrey Lurie are selling pieces of their franchises for record-breaking money. The NFL is not just America's game, it's becoming the world's game. And yet, in the middle of all this, one reckless moment by Jalen Carter becomes the viral clip that overshadows everything. For Philadelphia fans, it cuts even deeper. This city has always carried a reputation. From snowballs at Santa to Phillies Karen stealing a foul ball at a Phillies game, national media loves to drag Philly through the mud. And now? The Carter incident just pours gasoline on that fire. Eagles fans are once again painted as the villains, even when it was one player who crossed the line. But here's the bottom line. Jalen Carter is too talented, too important, to throw his career away on moments like this. He has to be better. He has to grow. Because for a team with Super Bowl ambitions, this can't happen again. Eagles fans, I want to hear from you. How do you feel about Jalen Carter after this? Do you still trust him, or did he cross a line that's hard to forgive? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this might just be the story that defines the Eagles season. The NFL today is a money machine, billions pouring in from sponsors, billions from TV deals, new streaming rights, ESPN taking over the NFL network. Everywhere you look, this league is exploding in popularity. The NFL has never been stronger, never been richer, never been more powerful. And that's exactly why moments like the Jalen Carter incident scare the league to its core. This is not just about one spit. This is about image. This is about the brand. The NFL has worked too hard to build itself into America's #1 sport, a global juggernaut, only to have the spotlight shift to one player losing his cool in prime time. That's why the league takes this so seriously. And here's where it gets complicated, because the new reports change the story. Adam Schefter and Jay Glazer both confirmed what many didn't want to admit. Dak Prescott wasn't some innocent victim. He went looking for Carter. He pushed through his lineman, spit on the ground, locked eyes with Carter, and nodded his head like, "Yeah, I just did that." That's taunting. That's bait. That's a veteran trick to get under the skin of a young star. And it worked. Dak knew exactly what he was doing, and he got the Eagles' best defensive player thrown out of the game. Now, does that excuse Carter's response? Absolutely not. He took the bait, and that's on him. He's got to be smarter, got to be tougher. But let's not pretend Dak didn't play a role here. If Carter gets slammed with another suspension while Dak walks away untouched, that's not fair. That's protecting the Cowboys' quarterback and sending the wrong message. Think about this. Carter already missed a game. He's facing a fat fine. That's the punishment. Enough is enough. But rumors say the NFL might extend it, and if they do, don't be fooled. It's not about sportsmanship. It's about saving face. Week 2 is a Super Bowl rematch against the Chiefs. The league does not want Kansas City starting 0-2, and keeping Carter off the field helps the NFL's golden team. And that brings us back to the heart of the issue. The NFL has told teams again and again, sportsmanship is one of the biggest threats to the brand. Troy Vincent, a former Eagle now running football operations, warned every GM and head coach that moments like this are the league's nightmare. That's why they might throw the hammer at Carter, not because they care about Dak Prescott, but because they care about their billion-dollar image. Eagles fans, I want your take. Was this really all on Jalen Carter, or should Dak face a penalty too? Should Carter serve more games, or has the punishment already gone too far? Drop your thoughts below, because this could set the tone for how the NFL handles discipline all season. The NFL's message couldn't be louder: zero tolerance. That's the phrase that keeps coming up behind closed doors. At the owners' meetings earlier this year, Troy Vincent stood in front of coaches, GMs, and executives and warned them directly, any act that embarrasses the game, any act that disrespects the shield, will be punished. And now, Jalen Carter's name is sitting right at the center of that promise. Think about this. Carter didn't even make it past the first snap against Dallas. 1 second, the season opener is about to begin, and the next second, he's ejected for spitting on Dak Prescott. Now, the league is deciding just how far they want to go with his punishment. At the very least, everyone expects a massive fine. But the big question is whether the NFL goes a step further and hands down another suspension, one that could keep him off the field for the Eagles' Super Bowl rematch with Kansas City. And here's where things get tricky. On one hand, insiders like Ian Rappaport said it would be far-fetched to suspend him again, since technically, Carter already served his punishment in the Dallas game. Usually, once you're tossed out, that counts. But this year feels different. The NFL is desperate to set an example, and Carter's actions might be the case they choose to make that statement. And let's be real, the league knows punishing Carter will win them points with a lot of people. The national media already loves to take shots at Philadelphia fans. They'll eat this up. Rival fans will celebrate. And the NFL? They'll get to say, see? We take sportsmanship seriously. That's what makes this so unpredictable. The decision is expected on Monday, and right now, nobody knows which way it's going to swing. If Carter sits against Kansas City, it changes everything. That's not just a fine or a slap on the wrist. That's the league taking one of Philly's most dominant weapons away in a game that already feels like a heavyweight fight. So here we are, Eagles Nation. It's late Sunday night. Week 1 is closing out. The whole NFL is waiting. And Jalen Carter's future, at least for Week 2, hangs in the balance. Eagles fans, I want to hear from you. Should the NFL come down harder on Jalen Carter to protect the brand? Or is this just the league looking for an excuse to make Philly the villain again? Drop your predictions for the suspension in the comments. Let's see who calls it right before the news breaks. Now here's the wild part. Jay Glazer dropped a bombshell before kickoff, and it's one that sent shockwaves across the NFC East. According to him, Howie Roseman and the Eagles actually made the Dallas Cowboys the biggest trade offer for Micah Parsons. We're talking 2 first-round picks, a third, a fifth, and possibly even a defensive lineman thrown in. That's a massive haul. And of course, on top of it all, the Eagles would have had to hand Parsons a monster extension worth north of $40 million per year. So what did Jerry Jones do? He turned it down. Instead, the Cowboys accepted a far lighter deal from another team just to make sure Parsons wouldn't end up in midnight green. Think about that. Dallas literally chose a worse trade package simply because the idea of Parsons terrorizing Dak Prescott twice a year in an Eagles uniform was too much to stomach. But honestly, that's classic Howie. He's obsessed with the trenches, obsessed with game-changing pass rushers, and he'll push chips to the center of the table if it means stealing headlines and stacking talent. Can you even imagine Vic Fangio turning Micah Parsons loose in Philly's defense? That thought alone is terrifying. And here's the kicker. After the Eagles handled Dallas, Howie still wasn't satisfied. He went out and signed Zadarius Smith, a three-time Pro Bowler with 69 career sacks. That's the type of aggressive, relentless mindset that has defined Howie's front office moves for years. He doesn't stop. Meanwhile, across the NFC, the Packers made a statement, dismantling the Lions and showing they're very much a threat in the conference. Detroit looked flat without Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, two coordinators who elevated that team last season. Jared Goff looked average, the run game never got going, and suddenly that number one seed shine is fading. Washington? They handled the Giants with ease. Rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels looked composed, extending plays with both his arm and his legs, while Deebo Samuel reminded everyone why he's still one of the most dangerous weapons in football. And all of this, every single move, every single performance, is part of the bigger picture. The NFC is a battlefield, and the Eagles are right in the center of it. Do you think Jerry Jones made the right move blocking Parsons from going to Philly? Or did he just cost his team a chance at a brighter future? Cliff Kingsbury wasted no time showing what he has in Deebo Samuel. Washington used him just like San Francisco did at their peak, lining him up in the backfield, motioning him across the formation, turning him into that do-everything weapon who can wreck a defense in a single snap. And you know what? Deebo looked faster, stronger, and more motivated than he has in years. The question is whether he can hold up all season, but in week one, he flat out changed the game. On the other sideline, the Giants were a mess. Their offensive line was a disaster, and Russell Wilson, yes, Russell Wilson, was under siege from the opening snap. He looked rattled, indecisive, and the Giants couldn't run the ball to save their lives. Rookie wideout Malik Neighbors? He's the real deal, already flashing as a top 10 receiver in the league. But outside of him, New York's weapons are average at best, and Brian Daboll wouldn't even commit to Russ starting week 2. That tells you everything you need to know. As for the NFC landscape, the Commanders looked sharp, the Eagles remain loaded, and the Cowboys looked like a complete team on Thursday night. That leaves the Giants as the clear fourth-place squad in this division. Elsewhere, the 49ers survived a slugfest against the Seahawks in a game that felt like classic NFC West football, low-scoring, physical, and full of tension. San Francisco's roster is top-heavy, but injuries are already piling up. George Kittle and Joan Jennings both left for MRIs, and if this team goes through another year of bad injury luck, their title window could slam shut quickly. Still, Brock Purdy showed guts, throwing 2 ugly interceptions before responding with a flawless 6-for-6 drive to win it. Their defense, led by a wave of rookies, looked phenomenal, shutting down Seattle's run game and taking away deep shots all afternoon. And speaking of Seattle, don't write them off. That defense is legit. And if Sam Darnold can finally put together something resembling consistency, the Seahawks could quietly be one of the most dangerous teams in the NFC. The conference is wide open, and week 1 already gave us chaos. But one thing is crystal clear. Every misstep matters, because the NFC feels like it's going to be decided by razor-thin margins this year.